Live now? No intro music? Oh, man, straight to it. All right, welcome to This Week in Real Estate. This is Jonathan Harmon with the J Harmon Home Team of Keller Williams. And we are, our guest, we had a little miscommunication. So our guest today is going to be me and Trent. So Trent's going to jump over here in just a minute, and we'll talk about some stuff. We're going to talk about some real estate investing, some Airbnb stuff, long-term rentals, some strategies for that kind of thing. So should be at least somewhat interesting.
I would hope so.
I mean, we'll see, right? But before we get started, before Trent jumps over here, we do want to give a shout-out to our friend Bryan Nale over at Primis Mortgage. Bryan is a big supporter of all things Spread the Positive, which, by the way, I know I'm not supposed to say anything, but I'm going to say this. There's some big stuff coming for Spread the Positive, Trent.
Let's go.
And I am pretty pumped about that. So if you haven't jumped on the Spread the Positive train, you better get your ticket and get ready to get it punched because it's fixing to get awesome. Choo choo.
Choo choo. It's hard to stop a train.
That's it. That's right. So anyway, I can't believe I just choo-chooed on Facebook Live. But
all right, here we go.
Anyway,
let's play Bryan.
Bryan
Thank you,
Nale.
Bryan. You're the best.
Hey, my name is Bryan Nale. I'm a mortgage loan officer with Primis Bank Mortgage, and I want to tell you that I absolutely love being a member of the Spread the Positive Network. It's such a great
And we
mission.
love you being
It helps
part.
bring so much positivity to our community. It's a true pleasure to be part of. There are a lot of ways to navigate financing a home, and in markets like this, having the advice of a trusted local professional is key to making sure you get the right advice for your specific circumstances. Whether you're interested in the purchase of a new home, second home, or have a need for a refinance, I'd love to earn your trust. If I can help you nail your mortgage, call me at 615-243-3976 or visit nailyourmortgage.com, and I'll be happy to talk with you.
Primis Mortgage is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC, equal housing opportunity. As always, all loans are subject to approval. Primis Mortgage, NMLS number 1894879.
There we go.
Trent, you look very tall over there. That chair's way up.
Oh, is it?
All right.
That's perfect. Hang on.
Oh, that's much better. Okay. So, hi, Trent.
Hey, Jonathan.
How are you?
I'm good, man.
Good. So, all kinds of fun stuff going on, and we had somebody scheduled. We're going to get him rescheduled, and the guy that we had scheduled does a lot of real estate investing and some different approaches to things, some flips, he does kind of all of that stuff, and it's always cool to talk to those folks.
Yeah, I have the caption for him still on right now. So
okay.
They can read all about Nick.
Yeah,
So I forgot to change that.
We'll get Nick rescheduled. It was purely a miscommunication.
Yeah.
And we will get him scheduled. So I've known Nick a long time, and Nick, we'll have you on here soon.
We're going to get that right.
Huh?
We'll get it right.
We will.
Yep.
But anyway, it happens. So what we're going to do instead is, I've got a couple of real estate investments, and we'll talk about kind of how that got started, what it's doing, and how somebody could get started.
Yes.
And I there's several different ways. There's several ways to do it right.
Wrong.
There's several ways to probably do it wrong.
Yep.
I'm not saying that I did it right. So why don't we do it this way? Why don't you ask me questions and then we'll flip it around.
Okay, I love it. So, investing 101. Just start with let's start with you. How did you position yourself for the first one?
So my first real estate investment was actually the first house that I bought.
Nice.
So we lived there for a couple years and decided to buy another home. Had the blessed and had the income, fortunately, to be able to purchase a second home without selling the first one. We were fairly intentional about that, about being aggressive, about paying it down, having a decent amount of equity, that kind of thing. We did take a HELOC off of that first one to have the down payment for the second one. It was a different time. This would have been probably 2010. So home prices were a little different. Rates were definitely a little different. They actually weren't spectacular at that point. They were.
This was 2010, you said?
Yeah, they were similar-ish
to what it is
to
now.
right now, maybe slightly lower.
Yep.
But home prices, of course, were much lower.
Right.
Bought the second house and then rented out the first one using the income off of that to pay onto the HELOC and everything else to pay that one down.
Okay.
And then identified a second home to purchase. Just always on the lookout, right? And most investors will tell you when is the best time to buy a house. Anytime
when you can.
So you're always looking for that next investment. You're always looking for an opportunity. And you evaluate it by saying, okay, if I spend this and I have a payment on it, I'm using other people's money, I have a payment on it, can I rent it sufficiently to cover that plus just a little bit, right? At least to build up a fund if the HVAC goes out or whatever.
Sure.
And generally speaking, if the answer is yes, then it's worth going a little further with it, right? And when we look at that investment, that amount, it's not just the price of the house, it's the price of the house plus whatever you would need to put in it to get it to the point where you can make that rent.
There you go.
So if you spend $100K on the house and you got to put 20 in it, you don't look at 100, you look at 120. Right.
And that's all done through the HELOC? Or
not necessarily. So, you can get a mortgage on the house to cover the bulk of the purchase. But your down payment, at least the way I did it, was through a HELOC on an existing home.
Okay. So
HELOC, by the way, is home equity line of credit. So you've got a big chunk of equity sitting there. It's cash that you can't get to, but it's part of your wealth.
Borrow against it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. They are typically, here's the danger, and we're experiencing this right now. They are always adjustable rates.
Okay.
So as interest rates go up, those rates go up further, higher even. And so, if you're not careful, you can get caught kind of upside down on payments.
Got you. So from that second home purchase, what was next for y'all? Or kind of, I know things kind of went down, or just talk to us about it.
Yeah. So got the second one. I actually had a partner on that one that participated on the down payment. It was a good partnership. Everything was good. I managed it. He got a check. Life was good.
Yeah.
Right. We paid it back. We had a joint account just for that house. It actually went pretty well.
Nice.
Then from the first one, again, that HELOC paid it down, and then
did it again.
Rinse, wash, repeat. Got a third house.
Okay.
That one I put a lot more work into it. It was not in good condition. So it got new floors, new paint, new HVAC, Did
you ever see the whole? Okay.
I did.
Okay.
So got that one ready, and that became probably one of my more lucrative overall with the initial investment. It became one of the more lucrative ones. And then right about that time, my then wife and I divorced.
Okay.
And so out of that, we had to kind of divvy the pot up. We sold the second one. She got the first one. I got the third one. And it was okay. It all worked out. But it, as far as the snowball goes, it set me back a little bit. But it happens, right? Life happens, and it was fair as far as how all that happened for her, and me, and not really a whole lot happened for a little while. I had to build up some cash reserves and kind of recover from that. Ended up selling the house that I lived in, bought the house on East Main, and in that process, just saving a bunch of money, and was able to ended up purchasing 3 homes over the course of about 18 months, just kind of in a triangle right there. And I didn't get the best deal on, probably not the best deal on any of them.
Right.
I got pretty good deal on 2 of the 3, got an okay deal on the third one. But for me, part of the issue always, and so if you're listening, it's not always just about the money. Sometimes it's about the money. The money has to be right.
Right.
But for me, it was about convenience. So I literally have 3 rental houses that I can see from my back porch.
That's crazy.
And
that's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. And I paid just a little bit more because it cut my time involvement significantly down. And they rent well. So 2 of those are duplexes up and down. So they have downstairs long-term rent, and then an upstairs Airbnb.
Yeah, smart.
So I've got 5 doors just right there. The long-term rents pay most of the mortgage.
Right.
And then the short-term, as long as I rent it, I don't even remember now, it's like 6 nights or something.
6 nights a month?
Yeah, collectively. Then we cover the mortgage on that. And then anything above that, you
take
know,
home. Yeah,
it makes money. So we pay extra down on the mortgages, and you know, there's utility payments and things like that because the Airbnbs obviously got to pay that. So, you know, works out pretty well.
And those are technically separate, separate. Is it one mortgage, but then there's two?
So I have all three of those on one mortgage.
Oh, okay.
In that situation,
and then just the Airbnb just pays different ways for the or for.
There's no HELOC anymore.
Right, no HELOC anymore.
Nope. At this point, that's paid off, and it was attached to a different house.
Okay, I got you. Mm-hmm. Got you. So that's really cool. So the Airbnb, I'm just kind of talk to us about how the Airbnb process came about.
You know, it was one of those things that I was like,
yeah,
it sounds interesting. And, you know, we looked at these little attic apartments, and, you know, it's, I don't know, 750, 800 square feet, whatever. And I was thinking, well, you know, what can I long-term rent this for? Because it's small. You know, if you're 6'2", you fit okay. If you're 6'3", you're going to bump your head. I mean, like, it's, you
literally
know.
that tight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got a little nervous about the long-term rent, but then I was like, but this is a great location. It's really cute. We can do this up the right way.
Yeah.
It'll sleep 5, you know, which is not a huge one, but it's
pretty big.
Well, it's pretty common
Yeah.
for someone to travel with 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people.
Sure.
5 people maybe, right? But so I think we can make money at this, and we don't have to set the rent or the nightly cost very high.
Right.
And so just started kind of researching a little bit, looked around at that time. So the Hobbit High Rise, that's the one for the short people.
I love that.
Yeah.
You always got the best names.
So that one, it's been in service now 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Are we 3 or 4? We might be 4 at this point.
Wow.
I can't remember.
Anyway,
at the time, there just wasn't a whole lot of
options, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple folks that had some. Talked to them. They're like, man, we're booked all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, let's try it.
Yeah, why not?
Right. So we put it out there, and I mean, it just instantly filled up.
Wow.
To the point where I'm sitting here going, man, I'm not charging enough. And so you can go in and manipulate those payments. And so we did that, and you're always messing with it, right? You're always like, okay, I've got a booking here. Let's discount it for, you know, or whatever.
Right.
You know, this month is booked. Oh, we obviously didn't charge enough. You know, those kinds of things.
That's cool, though. I mean, just kind of the game of it all, I guess.
It is, and Airbnb's been pretty good to work with. They're not terrible to work with on the host side of things. They take a little
Heard
tiny
that from
cut.
a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very functional website, app, whatever. You know, there's a few little quirks that I still haven't figured out why they haven't figured out that that's a pain in the neck.
Right.
But you work around that.
That's cool. And what's interesting, I mean, it's kind of still the wild, wild west out here with the Airbnb situation, right? I mean,
it is
compared to, I mean, we know for sure Davidson County's like insane. I'm sure
Yeah.
Williamson's not as easy as it is out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for the time being, it's still a pretty big opportunity, right?
It is, and you know, I would say that I don't know what the word is, not culturally, but socially speaking, people want that ability, especially in the downtown core, and especially if your units are not trouble areas.
Right, sure.
You know what I mean? If you keep a pretty tight leash on who not on who rents it, but purpose for rentals and things like that. You know, I think it's just one of those things where there's not hotels over here, so if somebody's looking, then that's it's a good spot for them. You know?
Do you think like getting further outside of, I guess, the metropolis area of Murfreesboro, is there opportunities out there? You think?
I think so.
I would think so too, right?
Yeah,
Just like I mean,
I think you got to have a shtick of some sort,
and something cool to go to a certain degree. But then being 30, 45 minutes from Murfreesboro
and I would caution against, you know, we have this one thing that is our thing, unless that thing is always a thing. So
expound.
So a lot of folks say, "Oh, you've got those close to MTSU." I mean, my 2 Airbnbs are, you know, I don't know, half mile from campus.
Right.
So you must have a lot of MTSU people. And the answer to that is yes, we do have quite a few MTSU people, but it's all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
MTSU people would not keep my Airbnbs full.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do we have a lot of business from there? Yes.
Okay.
Is it the majority? It's probably the one single biggest contributor, but it's still not 50% of the attendees.
Interesting.
Right? Or the guests.
I mean, is it games? Is it
And it's all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
So it could be soccer tournament. It could
Right.
be somebody. We've had travel nurses. We've had people that are coming in for family reunions and weddings. And I mean, they want to see the battlefield, or they're visiting the Nashville area, but they
Right.
don't want to be in downtown Nashville to sleep. Man, we've had folks for Bonnaroo. We've had folks for the Renaissance Festival. We've had, it's
super random.
and that's what's great about our area is
That's
there's
cool.
always stuff going on.
Right. That's awesome. So outside of Airbnbs, what other opportunities are you seeing for folks to, I mean, it's always based on the numbers, the situations, all of that, but like what are you seeing like as a whole? Like what's out there, and is this a good time? I know that's always the question.
Sure. Yes, it's a good time
Right.
to buy a rental property or an investment property.
Sure.
You know, you got to be really careful about your expectations and your time frame.
Yes.
Okay? So is it a good time to buy a flip house? Okay. Let me start with this. I've never flipped a house.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what those margin numbers need to be. I would say that if you're getting on the MLS to try to identify a house to flip, it's probably not a good time for that. Okay.
I remember trying to pitch investors. They're like, it's listed, never mind.
Yeah,
like every single time.
Because
Yeah.
that's essentially retail.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
And you're wanting to go to the yard sale store.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You got to find the
Or big, not even big lots. Like that's still retail.
Yeah,
like you're
you
really going to a yard sale.
Exactly.
Is what you
Yeah.
really want.
estate sale.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
stuff that's probably a good place to shop. I mean,
Well, and you've got to uncover those, right?
You got to
And
be right place, know somebody,
the
be looking
best-
for them.
the best flippers that I know have an innate ability to identify a pain point
Yep.
in a property owner and have a solution for that
Yep.
pain point.
Exactly.
It's almost never money.
Okay.
It's almost never money.
Let's go. What else?
So, you know, I'm a homeowner. I just lost my job. I've got this house that's an absolute disaster, and I don't have the money to fix it up to even consider putting it on the MLS. Right? There's a literal hole in the roof, or there's a major foundation issue, or I've got 17 dogs and 25 cats, and the place smells horrible, or whatever. Right?
Sure.
And so as an investor, I uncover that property and I see it and I'm like, I can fix that. Obviously, it's going to cost me to do it.
Right.
Right? You have this debt on it. There's this much meat on the bone, so to speak, as far as potential equity. Right? And I speculate that it's only going to take me this much to get there. Right? So there's a gap.
Right.
And that gap is big enough that it's worth my time.
Right.
Now, homeowner, in order for me to do that, I can pay off your debt and put a little bit of money in your pocket, whatever that magic number is, and you can,
Wipe clean and just be on your way.
that's it, and walk away. It's a whole lot better of a proposal than saying, here, bank, take it,
Exactly.
because then you get nothing,
Exactly.
right?
So that's where the whole wholesaling. I know that's not. That
It
is
can.
wholesaling, right?
Well, no, I mean, that's buying.
that's just buying a
buying it.
contract. Yeah.
Wholesaling, again, not something that I've done, but I know a lot of folks that do.
Same.
That can have a couple of different looks about it, but basically I negotiate a deal, right? I go to the homeowner, I bird dog that property, I get a contract for $100,000 to purchase this property, okay? So we've negotiated, and I'm going to buy your property for $100,000. I can then turn around and sell that contract to someone else.
Right.
So I can go to this person and say, look, I've got this contract to purchase the property. I've negotiated it out. Everything's good to go. You can close in 10 days. The contract says 110 or 100. I'll sell it to you for 110.
Right.
And then my profit margin is that 10K.
Right.
You then take that property that you bought for 110 and flip it and hopefully sell it for whatever, 170 or whatever.
Man, we're And we're educational today.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got Airbnbs, we got wholesaling, we got flipping. What else?
By the way, flipping,
Risky
there's
biz.
there's a
Risky
whole
biz,
lot of
man.
TV shows that are like, oh,
Dude,
we're gonna flip this house, and in a 1 hour program,
Yeah.
we're gonna make whatever.
$28 million on them. Yeah.
And you can very, very easily lose more than you can make.
Lose your butt. Yep. Absolutely.
You start pulling walls open, and all of a sudden you discover things that you had no idea. You're like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
That's not even natural.
Right.
Yeah.
I still love those memes with like the HGTV couple commercials. Like, my wife trains salamanders and I sharpen
Yes.
colored pencils and our budget's $2.4 million.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Those are gold. But anyway, yeah, don't get caught up in those shows, folks. It is not all glitz and glamour. What else? So we got, I mean, that's some good stuff. And just kind of staying here locally, something I've always heard as a kind of a good entryway point into the investing side of things is trying to find a duplex and doing the house hacking route. You want to speak on that?
House hacking. I don't know that
Yeah.
term.
So you live in one
side.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
Right.
And you can.
And then you go keep that duplex, rent out both sides, and you're living somewhere else. and
Correct.
Then you can leverage that.
I've not purchased, other than my two that I Airbnb. I don't really have a lot of multifamily.
Yeah.
I don't have any multifamily
Right.
besides those. But I like the concept of it because, again, it's convenient, right?
And it's relatively safe, I would.
Well, here's what it
Safer.
does is if I've got an asset that's $300,000 and it rents to one person,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And let's say that my rent is sufficient to cover my payments and everything's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's great as long as it's full,
Yeah.
right? But if you have that 1 month or 2 months that it goes without a tenant in it, or that tenant that leaves wrecks it and you've got to spend a month fixing it, and then you've got another month to get somebody in there,
Yeah.
you lose 2 months of rent. It just kills your year,
Right.
right? But if instead that same price asset has 4 tenants and one leaves, I've got
safe,
3/4 of my
safer.
rent still being paid.
Correct.
And oftentimes the aggregate of those 4 rents is more than one single.
Right.
So there's a little bit of room
Absolutely.
when life happens, and life
Right.
always happens.
Right. That's why these duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes are like gold around
Mm-hmm.
here. I mean, it's such a
Oftentimes they're not built as well.
right.
And that's a blanket statement.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that that's not entirely true, but it's fairly true.
Right.
Living in one side is awesome, especially if you can rent the other side for enough to cover the whole payment. That's a fantastic
I
idea.
know, I think
now
that's-
the downside to that is you're the landlord that lives next door to your tenant. So
Yeah.
every time something goes wrong,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that does come with the
And they know if you're home or not.
right. Yeah,
You know?
they really know.
So from a management standpoint, there's a double-edged sword on that one,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good point to bring up as well. Man, that's some good stuff. That's some really good stuff. What else we got? What else should we cover?
I mean,
I'm excited to get Nick on here to
I
dive
am
deeper.
too.
But
Yeah,
this is
he's a good dude. He's got some different perspectives. I would say that as intrigue, a lot of folks are interested in it,
right.
and as intriguing as it sounds, it is a lot tougher than you might think.
100%.
Number one, I would absolutely be cautious about being a landlord if you're not fairly handy.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's fair.
Because what you don't want to do is every single little repair that comes up, you've got to call somebody to come fix. That gets very expensive.
Yes.
And if you're not going to be handy, if you're not good at that, but you still want to have that investment, you look for one with a higher margin, and then you outsource the management of
Right.
it. Right.
Speak on that. I mean, we know a few folks that's all they do.
Sure.
Let's shout them out.
Yeah,
Scott
so
Abernathy's,
Scott
yeah.
and Bernard and all those guys over at PMI.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple other Stones River properties. There's a few others.
Mm-hmm.
Scott is an educator as well. And so
Scott's a great dude too. I want to give a shout out to Scott Abernathy.
yeah.
He's
So
a
that
good
whole
one.
crew over there,
Yeah,
they're good.
they're great.
They're good folks.
Yep.
They're educators. They're good managers. and they know what they're
Is
doing.
that essentially what Nick does too?
No, Nick does more flipping and stuff.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, cool.
As far as I know,
Yeah.
Nick, if I'm wrong, tell me.
Can't wait to get to the bottom of that. Yeah.
But for a relatively small fee, and again, as long as your margin is there, it's not a big fee at all.
Right.
They will manage tenant screening. They'll manage rent collection. They'll manage your books. They'll manage scheduling any repairs.
But that cuts a big. I mean, not a big. It could take a large.
Could take your actual profit out, right?
Exactly.
But especially
But
if
it's
you
still
find,
gaining that equity, right? So
it is, yeah.
Still,
So you're still making payments. If you find yourself an accidental landlord,
Yeah.
where I need to sell this house, but I don't really want to sell it, but I got to move out of state for a period of time or whatever.
That's
and you
a
don't
good time.
really want to be a landlord, or again, you're absentee, like you're living in another state and you've got a property here. I would go that route,
Yeah.
for sure. I do not want a rental property that I can't be on location within about 45 minutes.
Yeah. That's
So,
really good advice.
I'm not going to own a rental property in East Tennessee,
Right,
most likely. And if I ever did, it would be 100%. It would be under management.
Yeah.
Not me, not my management.
Right. No, that's good stuff. I mean, that's what. Yeah, that's what people have these questions. You know, this is
Sure.
a really common stuff that comes up in people's lives. Whether it's
Go ahead. Here's another. I got this advice from a guy before I bought my first house, and he gave me a couple of pieces of advice. So I will impart them on you now.
We're just out here bringing wisdom.
So one is look at houses that are easy to sell. Always have an exit strategy, right? So your 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 1 or 2 car garage, basically anywhere inside Murfreesboro or Smyrna or Laverne, you're going to be able to sell it.
Yes.
No matter what the market does, you will be able to sell that house. Now, you might not be able to make money on it if the market takes a dump like it did, in 2009.
Sure.
But you'll always be able to sell it, right? And you'll always be able to rent it, okay? You get into the weird stuff, and sometimes you can't sell it or rent it,
Right.
and that's a problem.
What's the weird stuff? What would you classify?
Oh man,
that?
it could be any number of things. It could be a 4-bedroom, 1-bath,
There you go.
where all the bedrooms are up and the bathroom is downstairs. That's going to be a problem, right? Or it's got high tension power lines behind it.
Yep.
Or it's in a big giant floodplain, or some of
There you
those
go.
things.
Those are some good ones.
Yeah, and I mean there's some other stuff too.
Yeah.
It's next,
Even if it's like the 3-and-1, or just
it's a little harder than a
Yep.
3-2.
Yep,
Sure.
all the time.
So always look at what that exit strategy is, and hire an agent that understands that piece of it.
Yep.
That says, okay, if you needed to dump this property,
Yesterday.
here's what it would have to look like.
Gotcha.
Right.
It's good stuff.
So that was one. The other thing he advised is be present.
Ooh.
Okay.
Shouts
So
to Marissa Kylie.
yeah, that's right. So show up at the property from time to time.
Yes.
Right. You write in your lease that you have the ability to inspect. So go inspect.
Yeah.
If you say no pets and you don't ever show up, how do you know if they have pets or not until they leave and you walk in and go, oh, this place is a disaster. So show up.
Yep.
Sometimes with some of my tenants, I collect the rent at the house. They don't mail it to me. I go
you
get it.
Okay.
Sometimes I will have a deal where I change the air filters once a month. So I know that the air filters are being changed, number one. And number two, that gives me a reason to be in the house.
Right.
Right. So those are all things that you can do to
So
to
what
show
was
up.
the first one? Make sure
Have
it's
an exit
sellable.
strategy.
Have an exit strategy. Be present. What's next? That's good.
Don't get caught up in what you think is glamorous. Okay, so you can buy a house that's 2,500 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2.5 baths, 2-car garage in a great neighborhood, and you can rent that house. Oh, it's gonna bring me $3,000 a month in rent. Okay, or maybe for the same price, you can buy 2 1,200 square foot houses, that are 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage in a neighborhood that turns over constantly.
Yep.
Okay. If I'm picking which of those two options, I'm picking the 2 small houses
Why is that?
100% of the time. Better exit strategy.
Okay.
Easier to rent.
Okay.
They will rent in
Forever.
any
Yeah.
economy, right?
There you go.
And I like having 2 because then
You can look.
if I needed to liquidate and get some cash, I can sell one instead of the one big one.
Yes, it's good stuff. Was there 4 or just 3?
No, that's it.
Okay. I think we did it, man. I think this was a good little impromptu. How much time do we have?
I don't know. What time did we start?
I think like 10-ish, 10-15.
Hey, we did good.
Hey,
Then.
that's pretty good.
I wasn't boring.
Hey, I just mean impromptu, off the cuff investment, just talking the things. Let's talk real quick. 1031s. We brought that up a little while ago. You want to talk about that, or should we save it?
Yeah, no, we can do that real quick. Mention it at least.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert.
Right.
I know a little.
Done a few CE classes.
Yeah, exactly.
Tried to do a couple.
Here's the biggest thing I will tell you on a 1031. There are people that are experts on it.
And yes.
And 100% of the time, you need to have one of those in your corner if you're considering it. But basically, a 1031 tax exchange helps you kick
the taxes down the road.
capital gains tax down the road.
Yep.
Okay. So you have this property that you bought. You're gonna and you bought it at this price, and you want to sell it at this price. There's a gain in there. There's a capital gain, and you can deduct some things and whatever. But at the end of the day, there's a gain.
Yeah.
Right. So that capital gain is taxed. Can be short term, long term. Just depends on when you bought it, all that kind of stuff. Okay. And it's a percentage based on your income. Blah 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 blah. Talk to your accountant. Not an accountant. Definitely not. So you have this gain. Well, what you can do is for that amount of the overall gain, not the tax amount, but the overall gain, you can take and reinvest that into what they call like-kind property.
Yes.
Which is a pretty diverse,
That's a
pretty broad concept.
Yeah.
So if you have an income-producing rental property and you buy another income-producing rental property, that's enough to be like-kind. Commercial, residential, doesn't matter, right? So you purchase that for that same amount of the gain, and you can move that capital gain on down the street, okay, and just not pay it for that period of time. It's a pretty good process, especially if you identify a property that you have made a bunch of equity in and you want to get rid of it, or you identify a property that is a great buy and it's a better property than one that you already have.
Right.
Then that's a way to do that and not pay capital gains.
Nice.
For now.
Right.
Until you sell the other one.
Exactly. So lots of little nuggets. We got nuggets around here. Call us Chick-fil-A.
That sounds delicious.
Some chicken minis. Anyway, well, I appreciate you, Jonathan. Always bringing value, and the J Harmon Home Team, all you do out here in the community. Honored to be a part of it. Thank you for that opportunity. Plug away, man. I feel like you're always showcasing everybody else, man. Plug away. I need you to plug. Like, get your plug on. Like, where can people find you? Obviously, we got all the Cedar Glade stuff. We got J Harmon Home Team. We got Spread the Positive.
We got all kinds of stuff going on. As far as real estate goes, the team, I feel like I've got, forget myself for here, but I've got two of the best active agents in Rutherford County. We got Brett Garner doing his thing. He is an extremely conscientious, thoughtful person just in general.
Absolutely.
And then as an agent, as a buyer's agent or a listing agent, because of that, he's very thorough. He notices things. So from a buying agent standpoint, it's awesome because he's like a miniature home inspector for you. I mean, it's fantastic.
That's a great way to put it.
And even where he shines a bunch with that is in his management of new construction. So if you're buying a new construction home and you haven't hired a buyer representative,
you're missing it.
Oh my gosh, that is such a not
risky.
good idea. That really nice on-site agent does not work for you.
Right.
And so Brett does a great job of kind of managing that process. He always gets endeared to the job superintendents, helps them be eyes on the ground. He'll tour that house on a regular basis as it's being built, and just helps avoid issues and can forecast things. And he truly represents you through that process.
That's awesome.
I'm a big Brett Garner fan.
Me too. Shouts to Brett.
And then we got Rabia. Rabia's a little bit newer agent-wise. He hadn't been licensed quite as long. But Rabia is extremely good at follow-up. He's extremely good at negotiation. He's a better negotiator than I am.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good, but he's
He's to
really,
the point,
really
man.
good.
He's got those eyes.
He does.
Right.
He does, and he's
through.
not. He's not afraid to ask. He's not afraid to push. And so from
It's huge.
It
So
is
big.
from
So big.
from either side, buyer
Yeah.
or seller representation. Let's figure out what makes the most sense for you, and he hooks that, and that is his mission.
Yeah.
And he's darn good at following through on the mission. So
Really good at the photography, staging.
yep, yeah, he's got
Just,
a
he
good
can
eye
make
for
your
design.
house look impeccable. So
Yep,
super
and
talented squad.
just a genuinely good dude too. So I would say at this point, we had end of October, all of November, all of December, first part of January, and things were a little slow. Just in general, the market was, so we've got capacity right now. The market's starting to ramp up a little bit. People are getting back involved. All that pent up demand is kind of coming to a head, and so we've got some capacity. If you just want to explore the option a little bit and just kind of see where we are. I mean, it's kind of like we had all those windstorms, right? And I was afraid to open the blinds and look to see what happened to my yard after all this wind.
Sure.
And that's kind of where we are right now.
Yep.
We've had a windstorm for several months now, and open the blinds, take a look at it. Maybe it's not anything that you want to get involved in, but let's learn a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Let's find out.
Right.
And any of the three of us will sit down with you, go over your current situation, go over your goals, your wants, your desires, and we'll just determine, hey, this isn't the right time.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to tell you no.
People sleep on that. I think people really, that's not the common approach for a lot of folks. And I don't know. I think that's a huge thing to acknowledge.
Well, a lot of people, especially right
and
now.
Brian's the same way, right?
Brian is 100% the same way.
And I think that's really cool to.
You're never going to bother me by asking questions about your situation.
I love that.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And there's so many people in our industry that if you mention, hey, I might consider buying a house this year. Well, let's go right now.
We better do it. Yes.
That's
yeah.
Maybe not.
Right.
Maybe. Right. Maybe
We're
that's
happy
the right.
to. Yeah.
But oftentimes we need to wait a month or 2 or 6 or 9 or 24. I don't know. But let's look
get a
at
real
it.
plan and
Exactly.
go about it the right way. That's what we do here. That's what we do here at J Harmon Home Team. This week in real estate, all the things. Love it, man. This was fun. I think this was a really good episode.
I'm going to throw one more thing out there.
Let's go.
We're switching to Cedar Glade for just a second.
Okay.
St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah.
It's on a Friday. 2 Fridays from now.
Boy.
It is going to be
a
party. Oh, my word. We've got to talk about this because we're going to do some
live streaming.
Yeah. So Secret Commonwealth, if you've never heard them before, they are a Celtic kind of eclectic band. The reality is they're just a lot of fun and they're kind of crazy.
That's the best kind.
I mean, they're just a little bit out there, but they are a blast.
Still family friendly. Still all the things, right?
30-year anniversary. They've been playing together for 30 years. St. Patrick's Day 30 years ago is when they started.
Dude.
Fact.
That's incredible.
It's amazing.
They've been playing music together for 30 years.
And they're awesome.
Still friends.
I mean,
evidently.
they're still playing together
Yeah,
anyway.
wow.
I don't get involved in all the inner dynamics there, but
that's incredible.
So they'll be playing in the tap room from 6 to 9. So we got them for 3 hours.
Okay.
We open at 4. We're releasing 2 new beers.
Let's go.
Rory II, which is Red King. It's going to be delicious. An Irish red.
Heck yeah.
And then we've got proper dry Irish stout. I tasted it 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm. Delicious.
It's pretty darn fantastic.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. That's awesome.
And then Fitzwillies is setting up with their traditional Irish menu. Bangers and mash, corned beef and cabbage, shepherd's pie, all the gravy's made with our stout.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I love all the collaboration, too, man. That's so sick.
Yep.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
That is
2 Fridays from now.
Man.
Yeah. There's no point in planning on being anywhere else.
Okay. It is the St. Patty's Day party in Murfreesboro. You heard
That's
it
it.
here first. Be
Last
there.
year was awesome. This year's going to be awesomer.
Okay, that's definitely a word.
Yeah.
That's in the dictionary. That's super exciting. So
Yep.
317 Cedar Glade 6 to 9. The Secret Commonwealth, is that
The
what
Secret Commonwealth.
That's such a cool
Look
name.
them up. They do crowd participation songs. I mean,
love
dude.
I can't wait.
It's going to be epic.
I will be there. I will be there for sure. Anything else? I think we did it, man.
I think we did it. I think that's
It
it.
was fun. I'm going to hand it back over to you to go wrap it up if you want
Okay.
to shout Bryan out one more time.
You got it. So, again, we talked about Bryan Nale. He is an educator as well. He's a guy that if you have questions, if you want to get your stuff looked at as far as your mortgage ability goes, he will take a peek at it, and he'll make recommendations to put you in a better spot. Or maybe you're in a great spot, and he'll make the right recommendation to get you moving forward. So if you haven't contacted Bryan Nale, you should, just to get a checkup. And then you should contact us, and we'll get you going the right direction with your real estate needs. So thank you, Bryan. Primis Mortgage, we'll have his contact info in our comments and stuff as well. And also thank you, Bryan, for being such a supporter of Spread the Positive.
Appreciate you.
Bringing light to what's going right.
That's it. Nailed it.
It's almost like that should be a name of something.
Oh,
Something with the what's going right. There should be a name.
yeah.
Of
Maybe
something.
like a foundation or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Cliffhangers, folks.
We should work on that.
I feel like we have been.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you, man.
Have a great rest of the week. Talk to you soon.